Greetings, my fellow tacticians. I am Doodleman149, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be diving back into the brutal universe of Warhammer 40k Tacticus. Today, while I'll certainly be late to the party on this one, I'm going to be taking a look at the latest round of patch notes we got for Tacticus in November. Actually, scratch that. I'm actually just going to be looking at the changes to VOLK and see just how this latest rework buffs this unholy flesh metal abomination. You know what? There's actually a small quibble about Calgar and Thaddeus Noble in here as well, so I'll take a look at them at the end too. Now, grab your bolter and let's get started. But before we begin, just a quick mention of my Patreon page. It's the best way to support me and what I do here. It's only $1 a month and you get videos you will not find anywhere else. Now, on to the video. I'll be looking at VOLK stats at my own personal gold standard, that being maxed out Epic Gold 1. In this particular video, the stats themselves won't matter a ton as I won't be comparing him to anyone, but that's just for the visuals you'll be getting with him. I also prefer Gold 1 as it's more attainable for the average player and thus more relatable. Also, seeing as I'll need this disclaimer on all Tacticus videos going forward, feel free to disagree with me, but let's try to be civil. Open hostility will do nothing but send your comment to the warp. It's a game for fun, so let's all try to have fun. Now, let's take a look at what's changing for this obliterator of the Black Legion. Looking at his health, it's increasing by a whopping 92%. I mean, geez, now you know they were aware of how squishy he was. For me, that takes his health from 1735 all the way up to 3,332. By the Emperor, that makes him the highest health Black Legion character that I have, even more than Angrax. Sheesh. Well, moving on though, his armor is increased by 20%, which takes him, again, for me, from a disgustingly low 266 to a slightly less disgusting 320. Now, I see why he needs all that extra health because his armor is still barely going to do anything. For his traits, he's gaining Heavy Weapon, which increases your unit's ranged attack damage by 25% if they didn't move before attacking. Honestly, this is something VOLK should have had from the start. Frenzied Firing, his active ability, now also works differently. Before, he would deal 6 hits of heavy round damage, each one dealing between 776 and 1012 damage. These hits would be evenly distributed amongst all targets within range 3, and all affected targets would be suppressed. Now, the new version of Frenzied Firing sees him dealing a single hit of heavy round damage to a target enemy in range 3, and to all enemies adjacent to it. This hit, or these hits, deal a yet undisclosed amount of damage at level 35, so I'll have to use the stats Nandi has for the ability at level 50 for a visual. Frenzied Firing will also score an additional hit against the target for each free hex adjacent to it, up to a maximum of 10 hits. Additional hits from Fleshmetal Guns are also scored against each enemy attacked. So, more or less, just like before, you can spread the damage around or focus fire it all on one target depending on your target's positioning, except now you can't suppress everyone on the field. Going back to Fleshmetal Guns, his passive, it also got changed. Before, at level 36, it had a 30% chance of adding 337 heavy round damage and 20% pierce ratio to all hits from regular ranged attacks. Now, the new effect has it so that at the start of his turn, VOLK gains one of 3 effects until the start of his next turn. The effects are granted one after the other and repeating every 3 turns, much like Onshi's passive. VOLK's ranged attacks score additional hits based on the current effects as follows. Focused Malice deals 2 hits of melted damage, Ruinous Salvo deals 2 hits of flame damage, and Warp Hail deals 2 hits of heavy round damage, and these hits add Despoiled Ground to the hexes of attacked units. So basically, he gets 2 extra hits per attack, and the bonuses those attacks fluctuates. Again, I don't have the actual stats on these level 35, so I'm just going to have to show you the potential for this ability at what Nandi currently has them at, which is level 55. Looks like despite having the highest pierce ratio out of all of them, the Melta bonus actually deals the most damage, which is good to know. There's also a great visual effect change to indicate the bonus mode. The link to Nandi's video is in the description, by the way. Now, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to share my subjective, personal, entirely my own opinions that may differ from yours, on these changes. For the stat buffs, not only is it a good boost, it was sorely needed, but now VOLK might actually be a semi-durable unit for once. He certainly wasn't overpowered before, so these buffs are all positives. Now, his traits and abilities are where it gets a little more complicated. Heavy Weapon is a trait that I think VOLK and honestly all range 3 characters should probably have. Every unit with range 3 regular attacks all have a large weapon of some sort, so I'm definitely glad he finally has it. We'll start the abilities with another positive. Fleshmetal Guns is now actually really good. Now you get bonus damage regardless of the turn. I mean, some turns are better than others, but you just have to plan for that. But it's way better than the 30% chance to maybe do double damage. I'd rather have the consistent output personally. Plus, the fact it always spawns Despoiled Ground just makes it so he now synergizes really well with the rest of the Black Legion. Great work on this one. Now for Frenzied Firing, I am kinda mixed on it. Now, again, I can't get the actual stats for my lower leveled ability, so I can't do a direct comparison on actual damage output per hit, but looking at the scaling, it could potentially be worse and better, but it's all situational. If you fire on a target and it's got 6 enemies surrounding it, you're basically getting the old Frenzied Firing, but with one more hit. If you're hitting a target that's alone with 6 open hexes around it, you're again getting the old Frenzied Firing, but with one more hit. However, should you find your target alone, at the edge of the map, in a corner with only 2 open hexes in front of it, it's literally doing half the damage of the old Frenzied Firing. So it's situational. More often than not, it will be better, provided the damage changes than anything drastically lower, but it's also almost overly complicated. One area it's definitely worse though is in crowd control. It was nice being able to activate this in a campaign mission, suppress multiple guardsman las cannon teams, and then allow your other units to advance. Now, not only is it far more focused and it doesn't cover the entire field, but it doesn't suppress enemies either. Good and bad overall, but leaning more towards the good side. So that's really all for Volk. What's going on with Calgar? Well, his overall damage was increased by 40%, taking his Silver 2 damage of 340 up to 476, so not too bad, at least for now. We'll see what happens when I get him to Gold 1. They also gave him the Crushing Strike trait, which increases his melee damage by 50% if he hasn't moved before attacking. In this instance, that would take his 476 damage to 714, which is pretty beefy for a Silver 2. Now on to Thaddeus Noble, someone that I am surprised has not been touched all that much. His health was increased by 30%, taking his Gold 1 health of 1335 up to 1736, which is a decent little boost. It's not too overpowered. With the right equipment, he could probably make it to 2000 fairly easily. They also increased his armor by 20%, taking it from 480 down to 384. I'm not really sure why this was the move, but alright, I guess. They also updated his passive ability, Spotter. Before, friendly heavy weapons units within 2 hexes gained 257 damage, again at level 35. Really useful in a faction though without a single heavy weapon character, but now the ability makes it so that friendly units within 2 hexes deal bonus damage with ranged attacks, while heavy weapons units deal double the bonus damage with ranged attacks. Think of it like Ithana's Path of Command, where all units get a damage buff but Eldari gain even more. Same here, but with heavy weapons characters. And so that's my rundown of the character changes that are coming with the latest November update, or more accurately, the ones that have already landed, seeing as this will undoubtedly drop later than the update. I'm not going over every change in the patch notes, because that's what you have Nandi for. I was just here to focus on the big boy Volk and some small changes to Calgar and Thaddeus. Volk got a massive stat boost, which was sorely needed after all this time. I'll be glad I don't feel like I'm handicapped when I bring him to battle now, but I must admit, the Frenzied Fire rework is a bit of a mixed bag. It can be generally good, situationally bad, and it doesn't offer the same crowd control anymore. Fleshmetal Guns, though, that was another big step in the right direction in terms of consistency and synergy for Volk. I feel Calgar should always have had Crushing Strike, but maybe that just wasn't a thing when he was introduced, and I wasn't aware he was underpowered, but I guess he was. Thaddeus also got his stats kind of fumbled with for some reason, but I like his passive is now more universally useful, finally. So what'd y'all think of my breakdown of the character reworks coming with this update? How are you feeling about the new Volk loadout? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this helpful or fun or entertaining in any way, then please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Tacticus content. I'd like to thank my lovely Patreon patron Zane Tor for his continued monthly support, and I encourage you to join him if you like what I do here. At the very least, you know you'll be acknowledged in every single video. So until next time, I've been Doodleman149, and remember to purge the heretics, suffer not the Xenos to live, and reclaim the galaxy for the Emperor!